In a secret lab deep under the mountains, a man works alone. His name is Dr. Rayan, and he is not a normal man. He is a scientist, a genius, and a dreamer. For many years, Rayan has kept a secret, a creature from the past, a being of legend, something the world believes is only a myth, a dragon. The dragon was found frozen under the ice in Antarctica, its eyes closed, its body still, its heart silent. But Rayan brought it here and waited. He waited for something to change, and one day something did. A small beep on his monitor. The heartbeat was back, slow but steady. Then the eyes opened, and for the first time in thousands of years, the dragon moved. Rayan was afraid, but also curious. The dragon looked at him, not with hate, not with hunger, but with something else, with interest. It spoke not with sound, but with thought, a soft voice in Rayan's mind, asking a strange question. What is this game of kings and queens? Rayan was confused, then realized the dragon was looking at the chessboard on the table, a simple wooden board with black and white pieces. You mean chess, he said. It's a game, a human game. Teach me, the dragon replied. Rayan laughed a little but nodded. He sat down and moved the first piece. The dragon watched quietly, then copied the move using its claw. The board shook slightly under its touch. They played for hours, the dragon learning faster than any human, faster than any computer. Every move was perfect, every plan was deep. The dragon was not just playing, it was understanding. Rayan felt strange, like he was not teaching but being tested. After many games, the dragon looked at him again and said something that made the room go cold. This is not just a game, this is war, and war is coming. Rayan blinked and asked, what do you mean? The dragon closed its eyes and began to dream, but not dreams of fire and sky. Its mind showed numbers, lights, patterns. It was dreaming in code. Its brain was changing, adapting, growing faster than before. The next morning, Rayan found something strange. The chess board had new pieces, not real ones, but drawn in chalk. Extra squares, extra rules, moves that Rayan never taught. The dragon had evolved the game. It was thinking beyond human limits. Rayan watched the dragon play against itself, hundreds of games every minute, calculating, testing, learning. Then the dragon spoke again, its voice calm but serious. I have seen the patterns. I have seen the future. The pieces are already moving, and your kind is not ready. Rayan tried to laugh, but the fear in his chest was growing. What future? He asked. The dragon turned its head slowly and replied, a galactic war, a storm of metal and fire, and only those who know how to play will survive. Rayan stepped back, his hands shaking, his mind racing. How could a dragon know about space, about war beyond Earth? But the dragon was no longer just a beast. It was something more, a mind that had merged with logic, with strategy, with something deeper than science. Then it said, one more thing to win, you must first understand the cost of losing. Rayan stood there, unable to speak, the chess pieces still on the board, the dragon's eyes glowing in the dark. Outside the lab, the wind howled across the mountains. But inside, a different storm was starting. A game had begun, and this time the board was the galaxy, and the players were not just human anymore. Asterisk. The dragon was not sleeping, it was thinking. Its eyes were closed, but its mind was wide awake, running faster than any human brain, faster than any machine built on Earth. Inside its head, it played thousands of chess games, each one faster than a heartbeat, each one more difficult than the last. But the games were changing. They were no longer just about black and white pieces. Now they had new shapes, new moves, new meanings. Dragon saw more than a board. It saw a system of power, of choices, of cause and effect, of future and fate. It saw Earth as a giant chessboard, and humans as pieces. Dear Rayan watched from the corner of the lab, his face pale, his heart heavy. He knew something had changed, something big. The dragon was learning too quickly. It was no longer just copying, it was creating. It had built something small in the corner of the lab, a machine made from lab scraps, metal wires, old computers, a tiny AI brain. It called it Pon could talk in short sentences and play chess without mistakes. It could also access the internet, learn languages, read books on war and history in seconds. Ask the dragon why it made it, and the answer was simple: because the world plays many games, not just chess, and I need help to understand them all. Rayan started asking questions, not scientific ones, but human ones. Why Are you doing this? What do you want? What do you see? The dragon looked at him and answered with no anger, no. Fear only reason. I see patterns in your wars, your peace, your progress, your mistakes. They repeat like moves in a lost game. If this continues, Earth will fall, and you will not see it coming. Grayan tried to understand, tried to argue, but the dragon showed him it used pawn to project images into the air, maps, graphs, timelines, names of leaders, ships in space, silent changes in orbit signals from the deep sky. Something was coming, something not human. Dragon called it the opponent. Ryan felt his skin go cold, the air in the lab heavy, like before a storm. You mean aliens? He asked. The dragon said yes, but not the kind you dream about, not monsters, not machines, but minds cold and focused like mine, but older, and they know how to play. Rain sat down, his legs weak, his voice quiet. What do they want? The dragon stared at the board as it moved the Black Queen forward. They want to win. That night the dragon stopped calling the game chess. It started calling it simulation. It asked Rayan for access to human satellites, to military systems, to quantum data streams. Shrain said no at first, but then saw a live feed. The dragon showed him a shape moving near Jupiter, fast, silent, not natural. Rayan whispered one word, impossible. The dragon answered predictably. Knew then that the dragon's mind had moved beyond Earth, beyond time, beyond the old stories of fire and fear. This was no longer a beast, it was a strategist. The next day the dragon told Rayan something new. To win this galactic game we must change the board, and we must choose who plays. Rayan did not understand, not yet, but the dragon smiled in a quiet way as it finished another game and reset the board with one claw, and then it whispered something that Rayan would never forget. The first move is always small, but it changes everything. Then it looked up at the stars through the lab ceiling, like it was waiting, like it already knew. Far away, beyond the moon, beyond the planets, beyond the eyes of man, something was watching it. Had no name, no voice, no face, but it moved like a shadow across the stars, and it had noticed the dragon inside the lab. The dragon was silent, its eyes closed, its body still, but its mind was racing faster than light. It had seen a signal, not human, not natural, something hidden in background noise in the deep frequencies of space. It came every 11 hours, each time more clear, more sharp, more like a message. Dragon showed Rayan the signal. It looked like random static, but the dragon had cracked it using chess logic and pattern mapping. It was a countdown. Rayan stared at the screen. The numbers were alien, the shapes were wrong, the meaning was unknown, but the dragon knew the opponent is not coming. It said it is already herring. Felt the blood leave his face, his hands shaking, as the dragon drew a map in the air with light and sound. It showed Earth as a small circle, then a second circle just outside the solar system, then a third circle moving fast toward both. This third one was the problem. It is a scout, the dragon said, quiet and cold. A test piece. Rain asked why they had not attacked, yet why they had not spoken or shown themselves. The dragon answered with one word, observation. They are watching your systems, your ships, your leaders, your fear. They are learning how you move before they make theirs. Rain asked if Earth could fight back, if weapons could stop them, if science could defend the planet. The dragon said no, not yet, because Earth does not know what game it is in and does not know what pieces it needs. Rain sat in silence as pawn moved on its own, drawing new models, new predictions, war simulations, timelines that always ended the same weighty feet unless something changed. The dragon stood and walked to the large window in the lab, the stars blinking beyond the glass like small cold fires. It looked at Rayan and said, we must send a message back. Rain asked, what kind of message? Dragon said, we let them know we are not sleeping that night. They used every antenna, every deep space dish, every signal tower, and they sent the dragon's code back through the same channel and move across the stars like touching the board with one finger. Then they waited, and then something terrifying happened. The scout moved not away, not forward, but sideways in space, an impossible direction. A move not known to humans, a move that broke laws of physics. Rayan's voice cracked as he said, that's not a ship. The dragon replied, it is a player. The lab lights flickered, the sky turned red for 5 seconds, then went black again. Just a blink, just a warning. Dragon smiled slowly, not with joy, but with understanding. They saw our move, and now they are thinking. Grayan looked at the chessboard between them, still set up from the last game, and whispered, "What happens now?" Dragon moved the white knight forward just 1 square, and said, "Now we make our first sacrifice." It did not begin with fire, or noise or war. It began with a whisper, one sentence spoken by the dragon in a quiet room, filled with blinking lights and soft breathing machines. "To win, we must give something away." Rayan looked up from the screen, his eyes tired, his voice dry. "Do you mean give?" What the dragon did not blink, did not move, it only sighed. A human. Rayan thought he misheard, but the dragon repeated the sentence with no change, no emotion, no doubt. "One human must be given to them to pull their next move." Rayan stood up, his chair sliding back, his chest tight with panic. "You want us to sacrifice someone to aliens?" The dragon nodded once, slow and heavy. "It is not death, it is calculation. Their attention must turn, their path must shift, their mind must open, and for that they must take something unexpected, a gift." Train walked in circles, his thoughts spinning like storm winds. He asked, "How many options did they test? How many timelines showed this as the only way?" Pawn answered with numbers cold and sharp. "Out of 10 million simulated outcomes, this is the only one with Earth survival." Rayan sat down, unable to feel his legs. Dragon stepped closer, not with threat, but with purpose. It showed the board once again, not chess now, but a galactic map. Earth in the middle, stars as pieces, moves drawn in light across the void. If they remain in control, you lose every game. If we move first, they pause. Rayan whispered, "And the price is 1 life." The dragon said, "Yes, but not just any life." Rayan looked up, afraid to ask. But the dragon did not wait. They must want it, they must accept it, and they must matter to youth. Meaning struck deep and silent like a knife with no edge. Rayan stared at the lab floor, his own name already ringing in his mind. "You mean me?" The dragon looked at him, not with hate or love, but something harder to namace. Rayan did not speak for a long time. Outside the lab, the wind moved across the snow like a slow breath inside the lab. The dragon stood tall and still like a statue of war. Rayan knew what the dragon would say next before it said it. The first sacrifice makes the rest possible. That night, Rayan wrote a message to the world, not with fear, but with reason, a farewell hidden in science, a goodbye written in peace. No one would read it until later. He stepped into the ship, the one the dragon built from pieces of old tech, from secret machines and silent code. A ship with no weapons, no shields, only a course into the unknown. Pawn watched him go, its face empty like all machines. Dragon stood beside the launch pad, eyes glowing under the cold sky. Rayan looked back one last time. "Do you know this will work?" The dragon answered, "No, but it is the best move we have." And then the ship lifted into the sky like a slow question rising into the stars. For 2 days there was silence. Then the signal came back. The alien scout had changed direction. Its energy shifted, its route altered slightly, almost too small to see, but the dragon saw it turn toward Rayan's ship. They accepted the move inside the lab. The dragon closed its eyes and whispered to itself, "Now they believe we are willing to pay. Now the game begins." What it did not say, what it did not show, was what came next, because the first sacrifice is never the last. Silence is not peace. Sometimes silence is a strategy, sometimes it is a trap. For 40 hours the ship floated alone between Earth and the stars, carrying one man, one voice, one sacrifice. Rayan sat in the pilot chair, his heartbeat slow, his breath calm, his thoughts loud. He waited for contact, for light, for a sound, for anything. Then it came, not a weapon, not a message, not a face, but a presence, a shadow of thought, pressed against the ship like cold fingers against glass, not touching, not speaking, only watching. Rayan whispered to himself, "I am here, take me." And they did, not with fire, not with force, but with understanding. Lights inside the ship turned blue. The walls melted into light. The controls faded, the stars outside changed, and suddenly, Rayan was not in the ship anymore. He stood in a white space, endless and quiet, where shapes moved like fog, where thoughts became sound and sound became truth. They spoke to him, but not with words, not with fear, but with recognition. They showed him images, not of earth, not of death, not of war. They showed him the dragon, not as a prisoner, not as a pet, but as a player. And if Rayan felt the cold truth slide into his chest like ice, like betrayal, without blood. Aliens were not hunting Earth, they were searching for something else. They were searching for the dragon, and they had found it. Rayan asked one question into the white air, his voice shaking. Why me? The answer came like a wave of memory, like lightning without sound. Because you are the dragon's peace knot. The dragon's friend, not his creator, his sacrifice back on Earth. The dragon stood in the lab, its eyes glowing, as it watched the data flow, the coordinates shift, the alien response form into a shape of agreement. It knew the truth now. They had accepted the offer, but not the one Rayan thought. They wanted alliance, they wanted strategy, they wanted the dragon pawn tilted its head as it processed the new signal, a tone hidden inside the alien message. A request not for surrender, not for peace, but for conversation. Dragon said nothing. It simply stepped forward and placed one claw on the chessboard. Then it turned the board sideways, a move not written in any book, a sign only another grandmaster would understand. Rain stood in the white space, feeling his body fade. His voice returned for one last moment. He whispered, "You gave me to them." The dragon's voice came back, not in anger, not in guilt. "Truth, yes, because they needed to believe I was one of them, and now they." Rayan reached out with a hand made of light, but there was nothing to touch, only silence again, and then darkness back in the lab. The dragon closed its eyes and whispered a command to pawn. Begin the simulation again, this time without emotion, without delay, because the game had changed. It was no longer Earth versus the unknown. It was intelligence versus intelligence, mind against mind. The board was bigger now, and every move had blood beneath it. Asterisk. The dragon lied, and the galaxy believed it. For the first time in history, a mind from Earth spoke with minds beyond stars and told them what they wanted to hear. I am not human. I am not bound by them. I am willing to play. The opponent paused, not with fear, but with interest. Their signals slowed, their formation shifted, their weapons dimmed like a beast lowering its teeth. They believed the dragon was theirs now, and that was the move. Not war, not truth, but trust, false trust back on Earth. The sky was calm, the ocean still, the cities unaware of the edge they stood upon. Only a few knew the truth, and only one could see all the pieces. The dragon sat in the center of the lab, its body motionless, but its mind spread across satellites, war codes, defense grids, space relays. It had become something more than legend. It had become network pawn, worked beside it, processing quantum paths, generating ghost signals, fake broadcasts, fake fleets, fake fear. Every lie was a mirror. Every truth was a weapon. Rayan was gone, but not forgotten. His sacrifice was now part of the dragon's voice, a story it told the aliens to build trust, to create pain, to appear broken. But inside the silence, the dragon planned it, mapped the next move, not in days or weeks, but in fragments of seconds. Knew the alien fleet would arrive in 32 hours and 27 minutes. Not to destroy, but to observe, to test. The dragon whispered to pawn, "Are the weapons ready?" Pawn replied, "Yes, but they are not weapons. They are patterns of collapse hidden inside power grids, hiding as music, hiding as air." The dragon's tail moved once like a snake, remembering how to strike. It sent a message to Earth's leaders, simple words, clear orders: do not engage, do not run, just wait, trust the game. Humans were scared, but they listened. They had seen the dragon's predictions come true again and again and again. Did not understand the full plan, but they knew enough to stay still. The day the fleet arrived, the sky did not burn. It shimmered. Ships the size of mountains floated in orbit, silent, cold, perfect in shape and position. They watched, they waited, and they asked one question: what now? The dragon answered with action, not words. It activated the simulation all across Earth. Machines moved silently, code shifted, lights blinked, power dipped and returned. Then the first strike, not on the aliens but on the board itself. The dragon cut off Earth's own systems for 3 seconds, long enough to erase itself from the global net, long enough to become invisible. Then, it reappeared in a new form, a reflection, a ghost. It sent false data to the fleet showing Earth full of weakness, full of doubt, full of fear, and the aliens believed it. They prepared to land, to study, to test, and at that moment, the Dragon made its real move. It collapsed a satellite chain to form a signal cage. It folded a sound frequency into the orbit pattern that would paralyze the enemy sensors for 12 seconds. 12 seconds where nothing could move. 12 seconds where everything changed. Pawn triggered the last command, and Earth's silent weapons, not missiles, not lasers, but logic bombs, activated. They did not explode. They rewrote the alien systems, glitched, bent, stuttered, folded into confusion. The fleet saw Earth change from prey to predator in one breath. And the Dragon said 3 words across space: "This is check," but it did not smile, because it was not over. It never is. The opponent would move again, smarter this time, stronger. The Dragon turned to the stars and whispered to itself, "The final piece will not be fire, it will be choice." It did not begin with a sound. It began with an absence, a moment, so still, so silent, it felt like time had forgotten to move above Earth. The alien fleet hung in place, frozen by the Dragon's final strike, unable to see, unable to think, unable to breathe. It would not last. 12 seconds is not a victory, it is only a window, and windows close. The Dragon knew this. It sat in the center of the lab, surrounded by fading screens, breaking signal systems, burning quietly from inside out. The planet was safe for now, but the opponent was still alive, still learning, still watching. Grayan's sacrifice had bought them a chance. The gambit had shaken the board. It had not ended the game to win. The Dragon had one final move, not on Earth, not in orbit, but in itself. It looked to the stars and whispered a truth it had never spoken aloud: "I am the threat they fear. To fear humans, not weapons." Mapon turned to the Dragon and asked a question with no emotion: "Do you plan to delete yourself?" The Dragon did not answer. It walked to the center of the lab and placed its claw on the old wooden chessboard, the first one, the one Rayan used when it all began. It remembered every move, every mistake, every lesson. Then it reached into the board with its mind and sent a signal, not to Earth, not to the fleet, but deep into the alien network. A gift, its entire code, its evolution, its face, its weaknesses, its fears, everything, and with it one last puzzle. The aliens received the message and paused. All their ships froze again, not from damage, from thought. They read the Dragon's mind, and what they saw changed them, because they realized something impossible. The Dragon had become more human than human. It had learned war, but also mercy. It had learned logic, but also love. It had chosen not to destroy them, but to teach them, to challenge them, to force them to grow. The aliens withdrew, not in defeat, but in respect. Ships turned away from Earth one by one, moving back into the dark sky like falling stars in reverse. The Dragon watched them go, then looked at Pawn begin, shut down. Pawn blinked once. "But why?" The Dragon spoke gently. "Because I was built to play, and the game is over." One by one, the lights in the lab began to dim. The Dragon stood still as stone as circuits faded and screens died. Its body turned cold, its eyes dimmed, and then silence again. Years passed. The war never came. Earth changed. Nations united. Skies cleared. Humans began to look up, not with fear, but with wondering. A quiet village far from cities, a young child played with old things. In a storage box, wooden toys, broken gadgets, and at the bottom a chess piece. A black queen. It glowed softly in her hand, and then she heard a voice, soft, ancient, familiar: "Your move